Well, hey, welcome back to Working Class Custom Stable B. Today we're going to talk about the things that I wish I had known prior to my first track day. It's gonna be an interesting subject. I think what I'm gonna bring up a lot is the fact that it is a very addicting thing to do. When I first went out there, I was like, yep, I'm gonna go do a track day. And I wasn't sure where that was gonna go. I didn't really have any plans of I wanna go racing or I wanna keep doing track days or anything like that. I just knew I wanted to go drag my knee on the ground. Jump to the future, didn't drag my knee on the ground on my first track day. That'll be part of this, but let's go ahead and jump into it. So if you're liking our videos, liking the content, go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment. I love the comments. Might recognize this bike. I did a video which was a track bike versus street bike, how much it cost me to convert this from, I don't know if we can see it, but from what it used to be, the street bike, put a picture up, to what it is now, the track bike, the cost of that. If you wanna go see that, link will be up here. Take a look at it. It was interesting for me because I hadn't added up the cost until I got to that point, but it was kind of fun to see. I might bring a couple of those things up in this video, but we're not gonna touch on that too much. Let's start off with just, what do I bring? What do I need to do to my bike and all of that? I'm not gonna dive super deep into those things because this is not a how to go to the track tutorial. I can put one of those together for you if you guys want. Let me know in the comments below. But for now, I'm just gonna tell you, like, I'm assuming you came here, you know you're doing a track day, maybe in a week, in a month, and you're like, man, what are the things that I could do to make my track day experience a little better? So there are some things that I did that I think I did correctly, that I enjoyed, and there are some other things that I think I definitely could have done differently to enjoy the day a lot more. Number one being, I camped overnight. The night before the track day, we went there, just had a tent. I highly recommend that. It's very nice to get up in the morning and you're already there. Camp is already set up, or your pit, or whatever you want to call it. You're there, you're good to go. You don't have to wake up super early and drive over there, or wake up and check out of your hotel. You're just there, right? You wake up at the track, you can go straight over to tech or riders meeting or whatever it might be. Definitely recommend that. Is it necessary? No. Does it make the experience a little bit nicer, a little bit easier? Yeah. And then the other cool thing with that was that the specific track we were at let us go walk around. I didn't do that first time, but times after, I went and I walked the track the night before, which was a pretty sweet experience. Not something you need to do on your first track day before you actually go ride, because it's different. Walking at 3 to 4 miles an hour compared to riding a motorcycle anywhere from 25 to 125 miles an hour is a very different experience, but it's kind of cool that you're able to do that. All right, let's go ahead and knock out what you need to bring, what you should check on your bike, and a couple other things real quick. So you need to bring your bike keys, and your motorcycle. Those three things are very important. Bike keys, bike keys, bike keys, bike keys. I did a key delete on my bike just so that I don't forget my bike keys, because I don't need them anymore. Great thing about a track bike. But if you're riding your street bike, you need bike keys. A lot of other things you can forget, and some people will probably have stuff there, but it's a lot easier if you just bring it for yourself, i.e. water, right? You can buy food at the track, you can buy waters at the track, but no one wants to be running back and forth from your pits to the concessions, back to your pits all day, picking up water bottles. Just go to Walmart or wherever, your grocery store, and buy a pack of water. It's so much easier, 24 pack, they're not expensive. Not every single track has food. Some tracks don't. That is something you should look up. But when you sign up for your track day, which I'm assuming you have done before coming to this video, if not, we can go into that too. Forgot to mention, there's a whole JK Moto podcast episode on getting off your couch and going to the track, so check it out. Anyway, bring water for sure. If the tracks do have food, it's probably on the more expensive side. I'm not quite ski resort level, but definitely not McDonald's level. Catch my drift there, kind of in the middle. So just keep that in mind. What did we say? We said bike, we said keys, we said yourself. All right, next thing, gear. You gotta have your gear in check, right? So all tracks are gonna require that all your skin is covered besides like the few inches of your neck between your jacket and your helmet, right? Helmet, most likely gonna need an ECE rated helmet. Full face, non-modular. Tracks prefer leather, but I have seen some that allow textile, and they need to either be a one piece or connect together around the waist. Just keep that in mind. And then boots over the ankles and gauntlet gloves. Like I said, I can go into like a lot more detail on this, and I will later if you guys want. For now, we're trying to keep it short and sweet before we get into the actual like things I wish I knew. And then finally on the bike, things you should look at. Look at your tires, tire pressures, brake pads, your chain, and don't forget fuel. Bring a gas can and fill it with fuel, because no one likes the guy that's like, hey man, I can pay you PayPal, can I get some fuel? You don't want to be running out halfway through to go get some. Just bring a gas can and some fuel. So I wanted to go ahead and ask those of you that might be more seasoned track riders to also put in the comments any tips or tricks that you might have found along the way that I miss in my video. Everyone has different experiences. I think we all know that. I could easily miss something. So if you're here watching and you've been to some track days or you've done a lot, or maybe you're a club racer, you got any tips, go ahead and throw them below so everyone else can also see those. Let's keep the community tight. But what I wanted to get into is that there are a couple different types of people that show up to the track for the first time. And I'll break it down just purely, I don't want to say slow and fast, but fearless and cautious, slow and fast, curious, and I don't know a different word, but what I'm getting at is that there are some people that have the right mindset and the right brain. They can just go to the track and send it on their first day. They'll be dragging knee, left, right, up, down, everywhere. That doesn't necessarily mean they're gonna do super well and put down amazing lap times and be ready to race. But there are those type of people. That could be you. If you know that, that's great. The other types of people, which I can speak to a little more because that's myself, like super cautious, maybe even a little scared. Didn't think I was scared going into it, but I got there and, you know, I'm riding around, think I'm doing great, and I look at my lap times and I'm talking to some people and they're like, yeah, you're doing okay. You know, give me weird looks. Then I look at the pictures afterward and I thought I was like within an inch of the ground or so, right? Again, my only real goal here was I want to drag my knee on the ground. That's what racers do. I like motorcycle racers. That's what I want to do. I was like a foot away from the ground. I'd say like the first thing I wish I knew was that there's a huge difference in I ride my motorcycle on the road and I can ride well at a racetrack. And that goes for both of those two types of riders that I was just talking about. Just because you do, maybe you can throw that fear aside and you can just put your bike down wherever you want it. You don't mind massive lean angles. Doesn't mean you know your way around a racetrack and that you can follow the race lines how you're supposed to. So that'll take me into my next point. So the biggest thing that I think I messed up with in my track going career, I guess. I don't race, by the way. I would like to race, but I don't race currently. Maybe sometime in the future, we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll get there. I'm not a racer. I just go to the track because, this is kind of a side note, but to be quite honest, these bikes are, they're just too much for the street. In all honesty, you can go 100 and whatever down the freeway and weave through traffic and get your adrenaline rush. You can do wheelies on your local main street. You can hit up your canyon roads and carve the corners up there, but from just a purely staying out of trouble aspect, the racetrack's the way to go. And there's just no argument for that. So keep doing what you're doing, keep riding your motorcycles, but just know that there's a racetrack out there waiting for you and your bike wants it. With that, I'll get into where I think I messed up, like number one. And that's that when I went to the track for the first time and every time after, I never got instruction, which now I've kind of adopted this, like I'm not gonna be super fast, I'm not racing, I don't need instruction just yet. I wanna save that for maybe when I'm about to start racing or something like that. But I can say that if you're not gonna get a full-on instructor, it is important that you at least do some follow laps with a control rider, an instructor, a track marshal, whatever they might be called at your local track. You don't have to pay for one. I think if you could pay for one, I would suggest on your first track day, pay for a half day. Get an instructor dedicated to you for a half day. And what this is gonna do is it's gonna give you one, layout of the track and the race lines. You might have played a lot of video games in your day. Like I said, you might be crazy local canyon carver. You might have racing experience, I don't know, but whatever it might be, it's not gonna hurt to have another dude that does that for a living on motorcycles, take you out and you follow him around and then he follows you and make sure you're hitting your lines correctly. And I think that a half day on your first day is perfect because what that's gonna do is open up your second half of your day completely to you, for you to just be able to go out and enjoy it. Because I say number one goal of the track day, right, is enjoy the track day and probably get addicted and wanna come back. But if you have an instructor for that first half, you can get your race lines right, you can get some tips and tricks from him for how to go a little faster here, or hey, you're braking super early here, you don't need to be, and kind of knock some of those like early fears out of the way and not do what I did, which is take a full year before you got to where you thought you were pretty good. Kind of knock all that out in the first half with an instructor, someone there telling you exactly what you should be doing and shouldn't be doing. And then I would personally suggest take the second half, unless you're trying to like, you got a race next week or you're trying to get your race license tomorrow, then maybe just stick with the instructor the whole day. But if it's just a track day, go ahead and take the second half to yourself and go out and enjoy it. I think that's a perfect setup. So get an instructor, first half of the day, follow them around, learn some things, go enjoy the second half of the day. So this suggestion is not 100%. But this is a piece of equipment that I have found has given me a lot of help and has helped me make a lot of progress. Not just make progress, but like see the progress very quickly. My first, I'd say probably 2 years of doing track days, I had the wife, your girlfriend, best friend, whatever, out there with a stopwatch on her phone, timing me. So I'd go do probably 10 laps, call it 8 to 15, depending on the size of the track, laps per session. And I'd come in, and if she remembered, she's like, oh yeah, here's your lap times, right? And I look at them, I'm like, okay, yeah. Then I got a lap timer, the AIM Solo 2. I put some caution out there because this is not cheap. And if you go do one track day and then you never do it again, waste of money, absolutely. And I'll say that. Putting some caution out there, but if you're already knowing, like maybe this is your second or third, or you just know you're gonna get addicted to it, invest in one of these things early. If I've got mine plugged in, don't have to have that. It literally just installs into the steering stem through a rubber mount, so it can easily be taken off. There are other options out there. I like this one a lot. The reason that I like it a lot is that these little bars right here will light up either green or red and tell you if you're doing better or worse. And then it shows you your last or your best lap time that session. It's nice because you can look down at any point and be like, man, I just did a 2:01, and you look down and it's red. And you know, okay, I need to do a little better. It can be dangerous at that point because you can start to get a little risky with what you're doing, but it's nice because it's that instant feedback of I am slower than I was last time. And it'll do it per sector too. Kind of, I don't know if you guys watch MotoGP or Moto America or any motorcycle racing, but they break the track into sectors, and so does your lap timer. So per sector, it'll be red or green depending on if you're faster or slower than your last lap, right? So it's not continuously updating, but it updates every sector. So that is super nice while you're out there. You don't have to come back in, look at the lap times afterward, and then try and be better the next round. You can literally just look down, quick glance while you're on the straight or wherever you're at, like, okay, I just did a 2:03. Let's see if I can do better. It's green right now. Can I keep it in the green? If it's already green, you're doing better, and you can just do everything else how you did last time. You'll get a better lap time, right? So I like that a lot. Again, if you're not gonna do track days or you're not sure, go ahead and put that off, but just keep this as a mental note. This can make a big difference in your track riding life. So what is a track dad, and why do you need one? I'm just kidding. But in all honesty, when I went for my first time, I went with a buddy of mine. We had both never been. That was okay. We got all the emails, we knew the schedule. I watched probably a dozen or more how to prepare yourself for your first track day videos, and I still got there feeling like I had no idea what I was doing. I will say that it's a lot easier if you have a friend you can go with who has been before. I don't want to say mooch off of, but he'll probably have a canopy. He'll probably have a trailer, or his truck's set up to haul motorcycles or something along those lines. Most likely your friend is gonna want you to go. So a lot easier that way. If you don't have any friends like that or whatever it might be, understandable. Also, well, I'll get into that in a second, but the reason I say this is that with anything, it's easier when you have someone else that's done it before. It makes you feel a little more comfortable, a little more relaxed, because you're not purely first time, no idea what I'm doing, let me make sure I get everything right, and it can be a big day. That being said, the next topic is kind of difficult because I'm not gonna tell you that you can't ride to the track, because I personally love the guys that ride to the track. They put their gear on, they get a backpack, maybe put, I don't know, food in there, minor amount of tools and a roll of duct tape, and then they ride to the track, fill up with gas outside, ride their track day, take all the tape off, and go home. I envy their stamina, to be quite honest with you, because I am quite worn out at the end of a track day, and I don't really want to ride a motorcycle home. There's a certain amount of focus that you need to ride a motorcycle. I think we all know that. Once the track day is done, I want to kind of just be able to relax in my truck and drive home. That being said, if you don't have a truck, you don't have a trailer, or whatever it might be, and you want to ride, absolutely go do it. Don't let that preclude you from going to the track, but I think it would be easier to take someone that has been before, and I would do that if I had the chance. If I could go over again and I had a friend, or I might even do what I want to get into now is when you get on the website to buy tickets, you can email those people and say, hey, do you know anyone that would be willing to help me out? First time going. Everyone that runs track day organizations, for the most part, is extremely nice and extremely helpful. From whatever standpoint you look at it, they want people at their event, and they usually want to help you out in whatever way possible. If you're like, man, I don't know anyone that goes to the racetrack, but I don't really want to go alone, absolutely find the organization, email them, and see if they know someone, or if they just by themselves might be willing, because most likely they're gonna help you out because they want you there. We all want you there. Track days are great. That community and the racing community and all of that, super tight knit, and everyone's there for the same reasons. Definitely don't feel like you can't reach out, and that should help you out there. So what I got here right now is my suit and then my jacket. So when I first started, I had a pair of pants that I had gotten off Facebook Marketplace, and I had a pair of boots that I had gotten off Facebook Marketplace, and I had gloves that I had bought. just for riding in general. Alpenstars SP8s. Pretty good gloves, not too expensive, gauntlet style, decent. I was looking for a jacket. Couldn't find a jacket on Facebook Marketplace because I'm a weird size. No one had it. It's hard to find them online, so I finally purchased a new jacket for, I want to say around $550. My thought in my head was, don't know if I'm gonna keep doing track days, definitely gonna keep riding on the road, so I'm gonna go ahead and just buy a jacket, because I already had pants, that was part of it. Then I can wear my jacket on the road by itself. Leading back to what I said in the beginning of this being extremely addictive, if you have an addictive personality, or if you already know, like, I'm gonna go to the track so much, don't do the two-piece. It just isn't worth it. I don't necessarily regret it, but I'm not gonna recommend it if you know you're gonna keep going. On the other hand, if you're not gonna keep going to the track, then yeah, absolutely. If you're like, no, this is definitely just a one-time deal for me, absolutely go for it. But there's also nothing wrong with wearing a one-piece out on the street. Big Canyon Carver, look for an excuse to buy a one-piece, and go to the track. But that also leads me to, don't make the mistake I made and spend all of this money. It just isn't worth it. There are so many better companies out there that have way cheaper options, and you can get custom race suits with those options. So I'm gonna link a video, which is a JK Moto podcast specifically on racing leathers, has way more info on it. You don't have to listen to the whole thing. If you kind of sift through there, tons of info in that podcast episode. And then I'm also gonna link Hazardous Racing's interview. So RJ from Hazardous Racing, I had a chance to talk to him directly. He makes custom one-piece leather suits. Custom, your size, not like, this kind of fits in this spot, but not in this other spot. No, completely custom. I'm talking now, you measure like wrist, elbows, shoulders, all of that, under $1,000. Just gonna throw that out there. Do with that what you will. But what I wanted to say was, if you know you're gonna get addicted to it, and you know you're gonna go back to the racetrack all the time, and that's gonna be like your life, don't beat around the bush, just go buy a one-piece suit. It's not worth buying a two-piece and then 6 months later being like, man, I really just wish I had a one-piece. Just go buy the one-piece suit. It's way easier that way. To sum everything up, I think, one, I forgot one thing. When you're checking your bike in the beginning, I said tires, I said brake pads, I said check your chain. I forgot to say there better not be any freaking fluids leaking out of your bike. Show up to a racetrack with leaking fluids and you're not gonna get to ride that day. And that's like actually probably the biggest one, because if you, let's say you show up and your tires are a little like, they're like, hey dude, these tires don't have any grip. There's a tire guy at the track. You can just get new tires. Or these brake pads aren't that great. There's a mechanic guy at the track. You can get new brake pads put in. If you have leaking fluids, that's a gasket and oil. And anyway, if you're mechanically with your bike, whatever, you should know that's a little too deep. So check beforehand, make sure everything's cleaned up mechanically on the bike and you're good to go that way. That'll save you a lot of time and effort. And I just want to finish off with saying that, one, if you're not listening to JK Moto, go check it out. You don't have to watch on YouTube. We're on pretty much every podcast episode, or platform rather. We'll have the playlist linked at the end of the video. And then two, if you don't have tickets for a track day prior to watching this video, go buy them. Doing a track day on a motorcycle is like one of the best experiences in the world. You won't regret it, I guarantee it. There's a possibility of wrecking your bike. Yeah, that's there. I can't actually think of many other negatives. There's a possibility you show up and you're way slower than you thought you were gonna be. That's there. That's what happened to me. Did it deter me? No. All I can say is if you want to go take your motorcycle that can do, I mean, these things do 0 to 60 in like, I don't know, most of them under 3 seconds, you know, make a ton of horsepower, whatever. If you're on a super bike and you haven't even thought about a racetrack yet, think about it. And don't just think about it, go buy the tickets and go. It'll change your life. Thanks for watching. Once again, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Hope to see you next time.